The first time Captain Elias Ward saw a Vortani warship, he thought the sky itself had torn open. That night over Nevada, the clouds split like black curtains, revealing metal the size of a mountain. A hum rolled over the desert like thunder forced through steel pipes. Then an impossible shadow swallowed the moon. Elias, still in his tactical gear from a training exercise, sprinted across the dusty ground and stared upward. Others joined him, soldiers, scientists, technicians, frozen, powerless, staring into a cosmic abyss that stared right back. "We're too late," General Havers whispered. But Elias wasn't thinking fear. He was calculating, studying, watching how the alien ship moved, how its surface plates flexed like living tissue. Not a simple enemy, something biomechanical, something built for war. A booming voice thundered from the sky. "Humanity, identify your strongest." The soldiers glanced at each other. Elias didn't move. "Do they expect us to bow?" Lieutenant Kareem muttered. Elias shook his head. "They expect an introduction." And before anyone could stop him, Elias stepped forward and shouted into the night. "I am Captain Elias Ward, United Earth Tactical." His voice didn't tremble. It carved the silence. "And if you came to test humanity, you're looking at the wrong planet." The sky vibrated, metal plates shifting. Then a beam of blue energy washed over them, scanning every heartbeat, every genetic marker. Another voice followed, colder, female, calculated. "We anticipated a leader, not a soldier." Elias smiled slightly. "Human soldiers don't follow leaders. We make them." The entire sky responded with a low mechanical growl. That night, Earth changed forever. 5 days later, aboard the alien dreadnought Vorakath, Elias floated weightless inside a metallic chamber lined with glowing tendrils. His wrists were magnet-locked to a suspended frame, restraints clearly designed for creatures much larger than him. His tactical uniform was gone, replaced by some kind of molecular fiber that clung like mist. A tall, violet-skinned alien woman stepped forward. Muscular, armored, predatory, she looked carved rather than born. Her name, he had learned, was Commander Arixicale of the Vortani Dominion. Her species was feared across star systems for conquering worlds through precise, cold military campaigns, and for annihilating those unworthy of annexation. She circled him like a researcher examining a lower animal species. "You volunteered to represent your kind," she said. "Curious. Humans are known for chaotic emotion, not strategy." He held her gaze. "You abducted us. I'm just here for the tour." She ignored the sarcasm. "You will undergo assessment. Strength, cognition, durability, combat aptitude. Humans are biologically inferior. But your species exhibits unpredictable behavior. We must determine the cause." "And if you're wrong?" he asked. Her lips curved, not in amusement, but anticipation. "Then your extinction will be inefficient." Elias filed away every detail. Armor joints, weapon patterns, guard rotation, breathing rhythm. "We've underestimated primitive species before," she continued, "but only once." He tilted his head. "Then you learned something." "No," Arixa said simply. "We eradicated them." The test began. They dragged Elias through chambers filled with technology that made Earth's most classified labs look like stone tools. They scanned his neural impulses, stress reactions, memories. They injected nanites into his bloodstream to monitor muscle contraction. They subjected him to extreme gravity conditioning until his bones felt ready to snap. Alien scientists whispered in their clicking language. "Adaptive," one hissed. "Yes," another replied. "Unexpected." But Commander Arixa watched with cool disappointment. So fragile, so limited. Humans break. Vortani endure. Elias gritted his teeth through the pain. Maybe that's a problem, he gasped. You endure. Humans adapt. She leaned close, studying his pupils. Adaptation is just desperation wearing ingenuity as armor. And domination, he said, is just fear hiding behind superiority. Her eyes narrowed. He'd struck a nerve. Training combat arena. 10 alien guards entered the chamber, towering at nearly 3 meters tall, armored with shimmering scales and wielding plasma spears. Arixa gestured toward them. Elite, born in battle, raised in strategy, conditioned for conquest. Elias rolled his shoulders, testing the stiffness and the alien restraints they hadn't fully secured. Tell me something, he said. Do they ever get tired of losing? The guards laughed, a guttural, animal sound. Arixa tilted her chin. Begin! They lunged. Elias kicked the first spear aside, using the pole as leverage to swing upward, slamming his boot into the guard's throat. He rolled beneath the second strike, redirected the momentum, and cracked 2 armored skulls together. Alien jaws dropped. Arixa's expression stayed composed, mostly. How? One scientist gasped. Elias answered, mixed martial arts. Human invention. He grabbed a fallen spear, flipped it backward, and knocked 4 more guards flat with precise blows to weak spots he'd mapped earlier beneath their armor plates. Arixa stepped forward. Stop! Her voice was in anger. It was curiosity. You predicted their moves, she observed. Elias shrugged. You're stronger, faster, bigger, but strength makes you predictable. Arixa stared at her unconscious elite soldiers. My guards have killed apex predators. Dozens of worlds. Entire armies. Elias leaned the spear over his shoulder casually. And now they're taking a nap. The silence that followed was the first crack in her confidence. Meanwhile, Earth mobilizes. Across the planet, militaries scrambled. Satellites vanished. Communications networks flickered. Global leaders united faster than any time in history. Humanity didn't know what Elias was doing aboard that alien ship, but they knew one thing. If he was alive, he wasn't cooperating. And if he was dead, Earth would burn before surrendering. Return to the commander. After 15 hours of combat trials, Elias was returned to Arixa's observation chamber. She studied holographic projections of his neural and physical data. She finally spoke. You are statistically impossible. Elias raised an eyebrow. You're welcome. Your physiology is inferior, she continued. Your reflexes are underdeveloped. Your skeletal structure, frail. Thanks, he said. Great pep talk. And yet, she pressed, your performance exceeded all simulation predictions. That's human for you, Elias said. We don't follow the script. Arixa stopped pacing. No, you rewrite it. Her guard captain, a massive alien, stepped forward, nearly twice as broad as the others, armor etched with symbols signifying thousands of victories. Captain Vrax, she introduced. He leads my elite guard. He will break you. Vrax snarled. Human, I will crush your bones into memory. Elias cracked his knuckles. I'd like to see you try. Arixa gestured sharply. Begin! Vrax lunged, a blur of violet and steel. And Elias moved. Faster, smarter, human. The clash would change everything. Vrax swung with a force meant to cave thorax bones, but Elias sidestepped and struck at a joint under the armored bicep, just as he'd observed during earlier combat sequences. Sparks flickered. Vrax hesitated, a fraction of a second, but enough. Elias pressed forward, unleashing a series of rapid strikes into weak points he'd mapped through experimentation. Tendon seams, flexible plating, vent protecting alien respiratory clusters. Vrax roared and backhanded him across the chamber. Elias slammed into a pillar, tasting blood. Arixa frowned. Displeased, Elias stood slowly, wiped his mouth. You hit like a planet, he muttered. Vrax charged again, aiming a killing blow. Elias didn't dodge. He stepped in, right under the alien arm, and drove both fists into a neural junction behind Vrax's jawline, where the cranial nerves exited into armor. A thunderous crack echoed. Vrax staggered, collapsed. Total silence. Arixa stared at her unconscious champion. Impossible. Her voice came slow, like someone reconsidering the laws of war. You defeated my captain. Elias corrected. I studied him. She took a step closer, fascinated for the first time. Why resist us? Dominion rule would end your wars, your poverty, your disease. He met her gaze steadily. At the price of our freedom. Freedom, she repeated quietly, a concept Vortani have outgrown. Elias shook his head. Maybe that's your weakness. Arixa laughed, but not cruelly. No, Captain Ward, our weaknesses were extinguished across centuries. Elias nodded slightly. You sure about that? The incident, Deck 12. Later that cycle, an alarm blared through the ship. Alien engineers rushed past Elias' containment cell. Breached hybrid reactor, a technician screeched in Vortani dialect. Another shouted, containment failure. Arixa stormed into the chamber, grabbed Elias by the arm, and dragged him along the corridor. You will assist. Elias stared at her incredulously. You want me to help fix your ship? This reactor contains hybrid antimatter. If containment collapses, we and Earth will vaporize. Elias raised a brow. And why should I help you? Her eye ridges twitched with something dangerously close to desperation. Because, human, if you die now, your people die with you. Elias exhaled. Fine, but I'm charging overtime. As explosions boomed overhead, Arixa led him into the heart of the dreadnought. The hybrid reactor pulsed like a beating organ, alive, unstable, ready to erupt. Alien scientists shouted impossible calculations. Elias scanned the equipment rapidly. Alien symbols flashed like living glyphs across control columns. Arixa barked. Stabilize field matrix. No! Elias yelled back. You vent it. You stabilize. It detonates. Arixa froze. You are certain? Trust me, Elias said, unless you're into fireworks. She hesitated, unthinkable for a Vortani commander, and then slammed her palm onto the vent controls. Shockwaves rocked the chamber. The ship trembled. Then, silence. Containment normalized. Arixa turned slowly toward him. Studied him. You saved us. Elias looked around. Saved myself. You were just nearby. She didn't reply immediately. That hesitation told Elias something important. She was beginning to question her superiority doctrine. Later, Elias and Arixa stood on the observation deck overlooking Earth, a blue jewel hanging in the void. Arixa's gaze lingered on oceans. You fight well, she said, voice almost soft. Elias crossed his arms. We had a good teacher. Arixa blinked. Who? He gestured at the planet. Our world. Everything down there tries to kill us daily. Storms, famine, disease, other humans. Nature taught us one law, adapt or die. Arixa considered this. Vortani worlds are controlled. Perfect. We remove chaos. An old challenge, Elias added. She tilted her head. Challenge makes you strong. It makes us human. Arixa looked away, almost unsettled. Her elite guard plan. Later, Arixa convened a command briefing. Her officers surrounded a holographic projection of Earth tactical forces mobilizing. One officer snarled, we should bombard their capitals, remove their command structure. Another hissed. Invasion protocols recommend orbital sterilization. Arixa raised a hand. No. Human combat potential is unknown. Direct assault risks unacceptable attrition. Officers stared, shocked. Commander, one protested, they are vermin, not threats. Arixa's answer was quiet but sharp. They defeated 10 elite warriors and my guard captain. Silence cut through the chamber. An officer spat. He used trickery. Arixa countered. He used ingenuity. She turned her gaze toward the stars. And ingenuity wins wars. Night cycle. Vortani night was simulated, metallic shutters dimming across the ship. Elias sat alone inside a reinforced chamber, thinking of home. He imagined his sister Lena, probably freaking out somewhere in Houston. He imagined his father watching every military broadcast, praying Elias was alive. He imagined dying out here, alone. Then he heard footsteps, measured, deliberate. Arixa entered. No guards. You are not resting, she observed. I don't rest well in cages, Elias replied. She studied him for a long moment. Your species fascinates me. That's one word for it. She traced her fingers along the cell glass, almost thoughtful. When I was born, my genetic profile predicted a 98% probability of command. I have never been uncertain. Until now. Elias met her gaze. And what scares you? She inhaled slowly, a motion almost human, that you might not be weak. Elias stepped closer. Maybe weakness isn't what you think it is. Arixa tilted her head. Explain. Humans feel fear, pain, loss, but we push anyway. That's not weakness. That's power. She stared quietly, absorbing every word. Then she whispered, in my culture, emotion is seen as disease. But watching you, I begin to question that. Elias swallowed. For the first time, she looked less like a conqueror, and more like someone searching. The mutiny begins. Across the dreadnought, whispers traveled among Vortani officers. Commander is compromised. She defends the human. She dishes the Dominion. Captain Vrax, healed, furious, humiliated, led the resentment. Humans are parasites. He growled to a circle of elite guards. The commander is infected by weakness. She must be removed. Whispers hardened into conspiracy. Rebellion simmered. War brewed within the ship itself. And Elias had no idea. The betrayal strike. 3 cycles later, Arixa summoned Elias to a training arena. Empty, darkened, too quiet. Why am I here? He asked. She didn't answer. Something felt wrong. Arixa suddenly drew a plasma spear, not toward him, but toward the shadows. Show yourselves, she commanded. Elite guards emerged, 20 of them, circling like hunting beasts. Vrax stepped forward, armor glowing with fresh battle sigils. Commander Arixa, he bellowed. You are unfit to lead. Arixa's voice was cold steel. Stand down. You chose a human over your own. Dominion doctrine forbids empathy. Arixa's eyes flickered. I chose logic. Humans are valuable. Vrax snarled. They are contamination. He raised his weapon. Guards, eliminate the commander. Elias froze. Shock hit like a blow. They weren't after him. They were here to kill her. Elias moves. Everything slowed. Vrax lunged toward Arixa. Without thinking, Elias sprinted between them, catching a plasma strike full force across his chest. Pain flared, white fire, every nerve screaming. But he didn't stop. He jammed his shoulder into Vrax's torso, forcing the massive alien back. Vrax snarled. Human, stand aside. Elias spat blood. I don't stand aside for bullies. Arixa stared at him, shocked, breathless. He had saved her life. Battle in the dark. Alien guards attacked from every direction. The arena exploded into chaos. Elias dodged plasma arcs, disarmed 2 guards, used their own momentum to slam them into the walls. Arixa fought beside him, spear flashing with brutal precision. Their movements synchronized instinctively, human adaptability paired with alien strategy. Together, they were unstoppable. One guard collapsed after another, but more poured in. Vrax roared, charging with murderous fury. Arixa deflected his spear. Elias struck his exposed neck seam. Together, finally, they brought him down. Vrax collapsed with a thunderous crash. Silent, defeated. Again, Arixa stared at the unconscious bodies around them, her own elite warriors, all fallen. Her voice trembled, rare, fragile. You saved me. Elias wiped blood from his face. You saved Earth. Seems fair. Arixa stepped closer, not commanded a prisoner, but something more complicated. Perhaps, she whispered, humans are not inferior. Elias breathed heavily, pain stabbing his ribs. You think? She touched his shoulder gently, carefully, respectfully. No, she murmured. I think humans might be the most dangerous species I've ever encountered. A new threat. Before Elias could answer, alarms blared. Screens flickered with violent red glyphs. A droid voice announced, "External fleet approaching. Unknown signature." Arixa's face drained to color. "Who are they?" Elias asked. Arixa stared into the void on the viewport. "The Korith Empire." Elias frowned. "Friends of yours." Her answer, "No, Captain Ward. They are older than the Dominion and far more ruthless." Elias' stomach tightened. "Let me guess. They want Earth too." Arixa whispered, "They want everything." Elias stared out the viewport with Arixa beside him. The approaching ships were massive, dark crescent shapes with serrated edges and pulsating crimson cores. Even from this distance, their radiation signatures looked unstable, like barely contained weaponized singularities. "They are hailing," a Vortani officer announced, voice shaking. A distorted voice fractured across the bridge. "Cold, metallic, deeply alien. Vortani vessel. You trespass. Prepare for dissolution." Arixa's jaw clenched. Korith Ward doctrine. They don't negotiate. They annihilate. Elias felt his pulse spike. "So we fight." Arixa looked at him strangely, admiration mixed with fear. "Against one Korith capital ship, perhaps. But this." She gestured toward the formation of 9 approaching dreadnoughts. "This is extermination doctrine." Elias exhaled. "Then they're not just coming for you." Arixa turned toward him slowly. "They will erase Earth to prevent future threat. They consider new species destabilizing." A sick realization washed over Elias. Humans aren't even targets. We're collateral damage. Arixa nodded grimly. In Korith logic, yes. He stared into the stars, rage boiling inside him. Not like this. Not Earth. Emergency War Council. Arixa strode into the command chamber, cape flaring, every officer rising. Despite the earlier mutiny, her authority recovered instantly when existential threat appeared. Vortani conditioning ran deep. "The Korith have arrived," she announced. Gasps rippled. An admiral asked shakily, "If they attack?" "They will." Arixa interrupted. "Preparation is irrelevant. Strategy is survival." Elias stepped forward. "I have a plan." Officers glared, insulted by his intrusion, but Arixa held up a hand. "Let him speak." Elias swallowed and pointed toward a tactical display. "Your hybrid reactor, the one we vented, it has antimatter reserves large enough to destabilize their fleet if detonated at close range. Officers exploded in protest. That would destroy us. Impossible. Human madness. Arixa's eyes narrowed. Explain. Elias forced calm into his voice. We evacuate the crew to dropships and tactical escorts. Keep the dreadnought unmanned. Set the reactor to overload. Then hyperspace jump directly into their formation. Take out the command ships in one strike. Officers argued violently. An ancient human tactic? Sacrifice the vessel. Elias snapped, better than sacrificing Earth. Arixa stared at the hologram, processing possibilities no human mind could. Finally, she spoke. Prepare evacuation protocols. Shock filled the chamber, outrage mixed with reluctant admiration. Elias realized something then. She wasn't just trusting him. She was choosing him. A plan in motion. Evacuation alarms screamed across the dreadnought. Thousands of Ortani warriors and technicians loaded into cruisers and stealth transports. Elias stood beside Arixa as they walked through the main corridor, her pace grimly determined. You're risking everything, he said quietly. No, she corrected. You are. He almost smiled. Thanks for noticing. She paused, turning toward him. If we survive this... Elias waited. What would humans do with peace? He shrugged. Probably argue about it. Arixa actually laughed, a short, shocked sound. I would like to see that, she admitted. He held her gaze. Then help us earn it. Arixa leaned closer, voice soft, yet edged like a knife. If we live, Captain Ward, I will show you the stars. Reactor core, final sequence. Inside engineering, Elias input the overload sequence while Arixa stood guard. The core pulsed violently, energy swirling like a contained supernova. Arixa spoke low. This decision contradicts all Dominion manuals. Elias replied, Manuals don't win impossible wars. She nodded slowly. Humans. Rule breakers. He looked at her. Really looked. You changed too. Arixa inhaled, voice trembling. You showed me alternatives. Elias finished the sequence and stepped back. Time to go. The chorus arrived. Outside, reality warped, crimson beams ripping space apart. Chorus fleets unleashed gravitational weapons that bent light itself. A captured Vortani cruiser exploded with a scream of violated physics. A Vortani technician shouted, Chorus boarding craft inbound. They detected the evacuation. Arixa grabbed Elias' arm. We must leave. But Elias hesitated. Someone still had to manually trigger the hyperspace drive once the reactor reached threshold. Remote override wasn't responding. Vrax's sabotage during the mutiny had damaged emergency systems. Arixa realized at the same moment. Her face paled. No. Elias stepped toward the control dais. I'll do it. She moved instantly, grabbing him, fury and fear erupting at once. You will not die here. He tightened his grip on her hand. Earth needs you alive, and your people need someone who understands humanity. Arixa's voice broke. Captain Ward. Elias. He forced a smile. Tell my father I did something stupid. Her eyes widened, alien pupils dilating in raw emotion. Something forbidden. Something newly awakened. No, she whispered. I refuse. He removed her hand from his shoulder gently. You taught me something, too, he said softly. Strength isn't superiority, it's sacrifice. Arixa shook her head violently. I order you. Sorry, Elias said. Humans don't follow orders well. She stared at him, devastated, furious, proud. He pointed toward the evac shuttle. Go. She didn't move, not until security dragged her away. She screamed his name, not title. Name, Elias. The last stand, alone aboard the dreadnought. Elias watched Cora's boarding claws tear into the hull. He sealed all compartments, forcing them into dead corridors where the impending explosion would incinerate them. He activated hyperspace drive. Engines roared like living storms. Then, he opened a channel to Earth. "This is Captain Elias Ward of United Earth Tactical. If anyone hears this, keep fighting. We're stronger than we think." Static. He whispered one last thing to no one. "Dad, I tried." Then he triggered the jump. Impact. The dreadnought vanished into a shimmering void, then erupted back into real space directly inside the Cora formation. A sun was born. Antimatter. Hyperspace momentum. Supercharged singularity cores. A light brighter than creation. Every Cora ship shattered, imploding into gravitational dust. Earth lived. Humanity survived. Vortani Dominion saved planets they once planned to conquer. And Elias was gone. Aftermath. Weeks later, Arixa stood above Earth orbit. Vortani cruisers guarded the planet, no longer invaders, but protectors. Human leaders met her aboard a neutral flagship. She addressed them without armor, another rebellion against her culture. "Captain Elias Ward saved your world. He saved mine. The Dominion owes humanity a debt that cannot be calculated." Global leaders listened, stunned. Arixa continued, voice trembling. "I propose alliance." An elderly human general wiped his eyes. "Our people owe him everything." Arixa stepped closer to the viewport, staring into space. "I owe him more." 1 year later, a small Vortani fleet stood watch around Earth, cooperation once unimaginable. Human and alien scientists exchanged technology. Conflicts ended. Colonization began. Earth entered a new frontier. And every memorial bore one name. Captain Elias Ward, 194 centimeters tall, 81 kilograms. Human, hero, epilogue, signals in the dark. Deep beyond Orion's arm, past nebulae and black star remnants, an alien research vessel detected a weak hyperspace transmission. Pattern, human neural frequency. Origin, unknown space. Encrypted message fragment. Still here. The research specialist reported it to Supreme Commander Arixa. She froze, heart racing, something she once thought impossible. "Locate the signal," she commanded softly. "Immediately." The stars shimmered in her eyes. Hope, dangerous, human hope, rose in her chest. Her final whisper carried through the cosmos like a vow. "Elias, I will find you." The end.